Cool.
Oh, well, thank you, Sal, for agreeing to talk about your journey of faith and tell us particularly a bit about one of your favourite hymns. Can you start by telling me which is the hymn you've chosen?
Okay, it was quite hard because there are lots, but one that's speaking to me most at the moment is the one called The Servant Song.
Right, and what is it you like so much about him?
Well, I do like the tune, but it's more the words. The words are really, really important to me. The second verse in particular sort of says, we're pilgrims on a journey, we're travellers on the road, we're here to help each other walk the mile and bear the load. And it talks about serving others and in return receiving help from others. It's a two-way thing. It's important, I think, to share our good times and our bad times with each other, because we're all on a journey and none of us has actually got there. And I believe that God's made us to be in relationship with other people and also with Him.
Absolutely. It's a lovely thing, having had or thought about the Pilgrim's Progress last week and who would Valiant be. I think it's a really lovely link.
Yeah, because that talks about him going through lots of different trials and tribulations, isn't it, as well? I also like it because I think it's quite countercultural at the moment. I think our society is very based about me and, my time and making sure I'm okay, and also, and what can I get out of situations, and whereas the song talks very much about what are my responsibilities and what can I give to other people. Not that, our health and stuff is wrong, but actually we're much more than that, and it's actually in giving, I think, that we receive.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of that. I mean, as following the example of Christ, of course, we are to love one another as ourselves, and that's his second great command, of course. So
yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, you're right. If I go on to another question, so when we sing this hymn together, do you have particular feelings that it brings up in you?
I think so the main one is gratitude and hope, because this one particularly reminds me of some of the hard times that I've been through in my life, but it also reminds me of the people that have helped me along the way and people that God has put in my path, on my journey, to actually help me through and to help me bear my load when I couldn't. It also reminds me of the amazing love that God has for us, and by sending His Son.
So they're people who've witnessed to God's love to you, shown you what that means in practical ways, and walked with you through some difficult times.
Yeah, through the joys and sorrows, which is one of the lines in the song. Yeah.
Yes, of course. And has there been a particular time or particular times when the song's been important to you, or even now as you reflect on it, that it brings to mind?
Yeah, definitely. The people who heard me talk in the Advent evening will have heard some of this, but I just wanted to share it again. As you know, I suffered from anxiety and depression, mainly the first 3 years of our marriage, actually, which was quite hard, and I was on medication. And I can best describe that as a feeling as though I had a rucksack on my back the whole time, a real sort of heavy load, and that I just couldn't shift. And verse 2 of this song particularly talks about walking the mile and bearing the load, and that sort of particularly speaks to me. And then in verse 3 it talks about holding the Christ light for you in the night time of your fear. I will hold my hand out to you, speak the words you long to hear. So some days during that time in my life, I would be okay and I'd laugh, But generally, I didn't want to go out, and especially I didn't want to go to what I would call normal church services, because I actually couldn't cope with the social side of things. I couldn't cope with happy people asking me how I was. So I actually, at that time in my life, I switched to going to Evensong a bit, which is a much quieter service, because it was somewhere where people didn't tend to speak to you. They just went to be on their own with God, and that's what suited me at that time.
I remember I struggled to understand that, but I know that it was helpful to you at that time. So
because generally I love being with people and stuff, but actually I couldn't. I think when you're suffering from anxiety and stuff, and depression, and actually now even, because I don't anymore, it's the people that just listen. So actually I didn't find it helpful, people that would quote Bible verses at me and things like that. The people that really helped me were just people that would, laugh when I was laughing and weep when I was weeping with me, and just be there in it. I knew that there was a way forward, but I just, so I know you struggle with that though, because you love that side of things, and I do too, but at that period in my life, in that season, I just needed to be with God on my own.
Well, it's important to notice that and to learn from that for how we try and care for people and show God's love in words, not in deed, rather than in words, as people are struggling.
Yeah. Verse 3 of the song actually talks about holding Christ's light for you in the night time of your fear, and speaking peace that you long to hear. And there was a particular friend, Berry, who was very important to me at that stage, and she would always remind me of God's love for me when I didn't feel it, and that Jesus was with me in the darkness, bringing me hope. So I think that's sort of this song really shows me the sort of the dependence that we do have on other people, and that is right to have, because we can receive that and we can also then give it as well.
Fantastic.
And obviously, you were really important, and I don't know how you coped with me during that depression time, because I must have been quite hard to live with. But you were my rock there, and you were there when I was feeling good, and you were there when I was feeling not so good as well, and that was brilliant, and I really appreciated that.
By God's grace, I struggled.
However, I think sort of through that dark time, looking back, I wouldn't have changed it, because I learnt so much through that time. I learnt a lot about myself. I learnt how to sort of identify early warning signs, and to listen to my body a bit more, and give myself a bit more sort of slack sometimes, because I'm quite a perfectionist in many things. And I also realised that I couldn't solve other people's problems. I could be there with them in their problems, but ultimately, it's the person themselves that has to work it through with the help of other people, and sometimes with doctors or whatever. But I couldn't. It wasn't my place to take that burden on, someone else's burden on. You could be with them in it, but not to take it on. And actually, looking back, I think that was invaluable to learn, because I don't think I could have coped with being a vicar's wife if I hadn't learnt that. And, I still have to remind myself occasionally, because I do like trying to solve problems. That's part of my nature. So I'm hoping that because I've gone through some hard times, that I can now also help other people when they're in those hard times as well.
I know that you do, and lots of people bear witness to that. is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your song, or what it means to you?
No, I think you can go on to the last question.
Okay. So what aspect of God, or which Bible story does it remind you of most of all?
It reminds me of particularly sort of two Bible passages. So Jesus washing his disciples' feet in John chapter 13. This was sort of just before he died, or was killed, and he knew he was going to his death. Yet he sort of gave the disciples that example when they were sort of getting a bit, who's the best and everything like that. He showed them and he said, actually, yes, it's right to call me teacher and Lord because that's what I am, but actually what you should do is serve other people. And
Brilliant. And that's amazing, isn't it? Serving one another even when things are really tough for himself. Yeah. And the other one you mentioned?
The other one was Philippians chapter 2.
Oh yes.
Shall I read? Yeah. Shall I just read it? It says, "Therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and of one mind. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but to each of you to the interests of the others." And Jesus, who being in the very nature of God, did not consider equality with God as something to be used to his own advantage, but he made himself nothing, taking on the very nature of a servant. So I think we have Christ's example to live by.
Yeah.
And that's quite a contrast to culture today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Sally. Thank you for all you shared on the Advent evening and also and now in this interview. Let's just pray very quickly as we come to an end. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for your love for Sally. Thank you for the way you brought her and us through her time of depression. Thank you for all that you taught her about herself and about how other people, or showed her how other people can help one another in those situations. And thank you that it's been so powerful in helping others, many others since. Lord, I pray that you continue to lead each of us in your way and build us up. Help us to love others as we love ourselves. We pray this for your glory's sake. Amen.
Amen.